Hey, yo, what is up, everybody? It is the King Hitman here, and as you can see, we have LR Omega Shenron. Hey, shout out my man Rock, bro. My man Rocky, he has been screaming for Omega Shenron for about a year now. I've known him the entire year. It's like basically since the last anniversary, right around that time, and he has been fiending for this damn Omega Shenron to be an LR, not a Dokkan Fest, not some amazing EZA for the free-to-play Shadow Dragons. He wanted an LR Omega Shenron, so now he's got that. I'm happy for him. Let's go over what this guy does. He is AGL. Matter of fact, I do want to look at his stats. I gotta make sure I look at his stats in a moment. But yeah, LR Omega Shenron, his leader skill, while it's terrible, it needed the coverage. It had to be covered. It's very important. GT bosses, you guys know Carnival LR, so 3 key, 200%. This guy being AGL, I mean, that's good for the team, I suppose. Like, it didn't really matter what type his lead was because every avenue of that team is underperforming. So now with AGL Baby's EZA on the way, we don't have Baby's details yet. He'll be coming out sometime later this week or next week on JP, but having that type completely covered by 2 spectacular units, that's a good, like, I can appreciate that, right? Now his super attack effects, 12 key, it raises defense for 1 turn, colossal damage, lowers attack with a high chance of stunning the enemy, which is spectacular for Super Battle Road, so getting additionals is massive for him. His 18 key, the Hellish Dragon Slaying Dance, greatly raises defense for 1 turn, mega colossal damage, lowers attack and defense, and will seal the enemy's super attack effect. That's his super attack effects are like for a villain and for debuffing, and while still, you know, buffing yourself. Who is this the best super attack set for an LR in the game? I mean, who else is in competition like this? I don't know, man. He's doing a lot off of these supers, just off of those alone. Now his passive skill, the negative energy brings destruction. Shout out to Goresh, shout out to Minato for the translation. Entrance animation plays upon his first turn. Of course, that's this right there. He will change int key spheres to rainbow for 7 turns. I like rainbow orb changing, don't get me wrong. I really like when rainbow orb changing over type orb changing when I know exactly what I'm changing to rainbow. That randomly changing to rainbow pisses me off a lot of the time. I shouldn't say a lot, but every once in a while it really pisses me off. Knowing exactly what I'm about to get allows you to like predict and set up your next rotation. Now anyway, that's his intro animation effect. All allies, no matter what, all allies, oh blue hell, all enemies will get debuffed by 25% attack and defense. 3 key, 200% attack and defense. He will get 20% attack per attack performed to a max of 150%. He gains an additional 1 key and damage reduction plus 5% per GT bosses category ally on the team. Now that team is very thin, so I wouldn't depend on that aspect of him. However, he gets an additional 7% damage reduction per rainbow key sphere obtained. That's when you can depend on it. So basically, I would assume, it doesn't say excluding self, but I would assume that excludes Omega, just because that's usually how they balance it. Those some units count for themselves. Anyway, you know, you get those 4 rainbow orbs. I mean, we're looking at 33% damage reduction with 200% defense, and the mitigation he has, if it's active on those first couple of turns, we're looking at a monster unit right now defensively, and he's protecting your entire team with that enemy debuff. I like the way this looks. I like the way this looks a lot. Now let's look over the rest of his passive. If HP is 50% or below at the beginning of the character's turn, he will revive with 70% HP if him or any other character on your turn is KO'd. He has a revival skill. Monster. As you guys see, he's going to revive. He's looking like he's going to be very powerful. When his revival skill is activated, all attacks become super effective against all types, and he will launch a guaranteed additional super for the rest of the battle. Now, as an AGL unit, he'll have the 5 additional, so you won't, like, I don't know if I'd say give him full additional. I don't know. It's looking like I kind of want to give him a mix of literally everything. We're going to go all 3 different directions with him, but we'll see what looks best on him. But yeah, he looks very good. The super effective and additional super, you shouldn't depend on seeing him like that. So I'd say without that being up, he's still a spectacular unit. I think Is he a top? You know what, bro? You know what? I don't have an opinion on him. I'm gonna save my opinion for when I mess around with him, for when I see more on him, for when I see, you know, what type of things he can do in game. I'm not gonna question what rank he has right now. It's too early. His active skill, the negative energy ball. The negative energy ball can be activated once 3 or more turns have elapsed from the start of battle, which sounds very simple. But the targeted enemy has to be at an attack down or defensive down status. Keep in mind that applies, like when he uses this, you don't want to you don't want to look at it from the avenue of you have to use this active skill to get him the additional attack buff that he gets by doing attacks, but it would count towards that being done, and he needs a lot of attacks to be performed to get that full 150% attack buff, right? So if you use this active skill early on turn 3, he won't be fully built up, but it will allow him to build towards that, right? It is going to count as an attack done, of course, but the enemy has to be attack down or defensive down. On turn 3, I shouldn't say most, like a fair amount of bosses in the game will still allow you to lower their defense. I wouldn't say bank on attack, but certain shadow dragons like Nova Shenron allows his attack to be lowered. If I remember correctly, Naturon Shenron allows his defense to be lowered, or was it his attack too? I don't know. Maybe it was his attack also. But yeah, certain enemies, of course, will allow you to be debuffed. I wouldn't bank on that. I do think that's like, just use his active skill. This is the second condition for his active skill. It's the 3 or more turns have passed and then attack down or defensive down on the enemy, or once 6 or more turns have passed, period. I would say at that point, just save it. If you know you're going to be in a longer fight, save it. Use it as that ultra nuke once his passive is more towards being fully built up, and then it'll of course hit harder, which kind of feels like it warrants crit. Like if he hasn't revived yet, you're gonna want to use it so that it crits. Otherwise, the super effective is good enough, I suppose. But that's all I've really got for that section on him. The effect of the negative energy ball will greatly raise attack, deal ultimate damage to the enemy, and lowers the enemy's attack and defense by 30% for one turn, while nullifying or attack breaking the enemy one time. I tell you guys, attack breaks are a really underrated part of the ability that the game that they slipped into the mechanics about a year and a half ago. I think it's a really amazing ability. It's just they're not abusing it yet. But him greatly raising his attack temporarily on the active is whatever. The ultimate damage is nice. Like, I'm not saying whatever isn't bad. Like, it's nice. The ultimate damage is nice. The lowering attack and defense is irrelevant. It's not important unless you're fighting, like I said, Nova Shenron, and the Shadow Dragon event allows his attack to be debuffed. I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see how applicable this is across all of the bosses in the game. Like I said, defense lowering is fairly available. I wouldn't say it's common, but fairly available to the hardest fights in the game, so you can use it in that. But the lowering attack on turn 6, if you can get it that far, it's not gonna really warrant anything. So you're just worried about how much damage he's doing at that point. That's all I've got for that section. Now, finally, Omega Shenron's links: Brutal Beatdown, Big Bad Bosses, GT, Fear and Faith, Shadow Dragon Saga, Fierce Battle, or Shadow Dragon Saga, Shadow Dragon, Fierce Battle, and Legendary Power. He lost out on Shocking Speed. That's not that big of a L. I'm not really bugging about that. Categories: GT bosses, of course, Shadow Dragon Saga, Full Power, Inhuman Deeds, Power Absorption, Battle of Fate, Transformation Boost, and because he is a revival skill unit, he is on Powerful Comeback. He's a great defensive unit. I don't see, if you have the GT mitigation up, like the GT bosses mitigation, which is literally his main team, he's a spectacular defensive unit. He is Rainbow Orb changing for that team. He's debuffing in Super Battle Road so many times over. He is raising his defense. I like him. I'm worried about his start of turn defense. I'm worried about him against, ironically, right? It's just so funny that we're worried about him in this specific fight, but I'm worried about him in the Sin Shenron fight. Like, we're getting a new stage of the Birth of the Shadow Dragons event. We're assuming Omega is going to be the hardest fight in the game, but right now it's Sin Shenron, right? And with Sin being there, purely statistically, his defense isn't going to be great, but his mitigation will have to carry. So you'll have to make sure you're getting him those rainbow orbs. and having, you know, GT bosses around. But we'll see what he's capable of. That, I mean, shoot, I like him though. I like him a lot. Now let's see. First of all, once again, thank you to Goresh. Where's the translations? Thank you to Goresh, just so that you guys can read over one last time. His super attack effects mixed with one of those passives is insanity. His active skill is really good. Now his link set: brutal beatdown, big bad bosses, GT, fear and faith, shadow dragon, fierce battle, and legendary power. What did he miss? What is he missing now? Shocking speed. Okay, he lost shocking speed. That's fine. That's not, I don't care, bro. That's fine. Categories: he leads GT bosses, Shadow Dragon Saga, full power, inhuman deeds, power absorption, battle of fate, transformation boost. And because he is a revival unit, he is on powerful comeback. That's good. That's great. I mean, you know, Omega was one of those units. He didn't have many categories early in the I shouldn't even say early. Midway through the category meta, and then he started getting more and more leads. So it was good. For a while, he was only strapped to what, like 3 teams, 4 teams? Yeah, somewhere like 3 or 4 teams, and then he got these additional 4 or 5 teams later on in like the second half of the category meta, so that's very good for him. The new hardest fight in the game should be on the way, because we are going to get a buff to the Shadow Dragon event. The birth of the Shadow Dragon event is going to have a new stage with Omega. That makes sense because we were fighting Sin. That means they planned this, of course, right? But they planned this way in ahead. So during Anniversary, they knew that they were going to drop this Omega during Tanabata. So that's good. I like the way they were forward thinking. But yeah, Sin is the hardest fight in the game at the moment. I'm sure Omega is going to be clearly better than him. I'm kind of concerned. I'm actually very concerned. Oh my gosh, man. All right, we'll see what that's going to look like in a couple days. When does it come out? It's going to come out temporarily unavailable on Wednesday. Start date is the 18th. That doesn't make sense, but okay. It's coming out sometime in the next day or two. I expect it to be incredibly hard. His art isn't like, I don't know. I don't know what pose you would do for Omega, really, but I gotta see it when it's animated. I'm not too impressed with his art, and I rarely say that about LRs, but I'm not impressed. The GT bosses category is terrible, but the thing I like about him is he seems like he's the type of unit with his damage mitigation, he's just gonna age well. So that team, as it gets more and more help, is gonna be able to have something consistent. Like a GT boss had to lead this category eventually, and we were waiting so long. It wasn't Super 17. I thought this was going to be a baby unit. It wasn't baby. We always thought we were going to get these GT boss leader skills finally, and now that we have one, at least it's something they all will have in common. I don't really know what to tell you outside of that. I mean, I wish it was GT villains. That would be a massive help, but that's just not the case for this. And now we have the EZAs for, matter of fact, I can play my music now. We have the EZAs, the sub EZAs for the GT units, the GT Goku, the Frieza, and the Cell. Starting off with the GT STR Goku. Thank you to Minato. Appreciate Minato so much, man. Okay, I'm nervous. Leader skill, Super STR gets 2 key, stats 110%, that's whatever. His 12 key super raises attack and defense for 1 turn, immense damage, greatly lowering defense, attack and defense 100%, attack 180%, defense 80% when he super attacks. He has a high chance to perform a critical hit. He guards all attacks, yes, for 3 turns from his first appearance, and then he will get an additional 3 key, and attacks are guaranteed to hit if he's facing one enemy, and if it's a GT boss category enemy, he will get an extra 50% chance to perform that critical hit and attack 100%. So he's not insane, right? But he's very good for these shorter fights. Like yeah, he's gonna take damage from a lot of enemies in the game in terms of, if he's not getting additionals, I mean, you should build him so that he has either full dodge or full additional. There's no reason to go crit the way he's built. I mean, I wouldn't care to go crit. But looking at him, he's not bad at all. Like, I can put up with this. This is fine. I'm not really stressed about that. I wouldn't say they failed him until I see him in action. We're going to see what he's capable of real soon. His 12 key super attack raises attack. This is Cell now. Cell's 12 key raises attack and defense for 1 turn. Supreme damage, seal super attack. This is important because I know if Cell is going to be bad, then Frieza is going to be bad. 2 key, attack and defense 150% when all allies in the turn are revenge, GT bosses, or sworn enemies. That is a fair, they're giving you 3 different abilities. Or GT bosses, or sworn enemies, or revenge. I just had to make sure I was reading that right. It's rare that they give us so many different loopholes. Get an additional attack and defense 100% when he super attacks, and he will perform a guaranteed additional super attack. He will get an additional attack and attack 150% and super effective against all types. If the enemy is stunned. Oh man. Oh Cell. Oh man. This isn't anything. Like, this doesn't do anything for us. Maybe if he was damage mitigating or something like that, this doesn't do anything for us. Link set doesn't change. Why am I talking about his link set? His link set isn't going to change. Alright, now on to Frieza. I assume Frieza's terrible too. Same super attack effect with their defense and attack raising for 1 turn. High chance to stun. I'm so annoyed. 2 key, attack defense 150% when all allies are revenge, GT bosses, or sworn enemies. An additional attack and defense 100% when super attacking. The attack 150% and super effective if the enemy's super attack is sealed. Yeah, they're terrible. So the Goku's the best out the 3 of them, but it's not like he's great. He's just tolerable. He's actually, something, I'm giving him flack. He's actually a great battlefield option. And I know that makes people go, oh, really, bro? But seriously, I think he's a great battlefield unit. That Rose and Zamasu were great in battlefield because they have that guard for a couple of turns. So battlefield fights shouldn't be lasting that long. You should really be able to take advantage of that. I'd say for just about any other fight in the game, he's going to be good for that Nova Shenron fight because Nova is physical. After that, I don't really have anything for you, I'm going to be honest, so I'm going to leave it there. It is the Young King Hitman. Is there anything else I'm forgetting? No, it doesn't seem like it. Alright, cool. So with that being said, LR Carnival Omega is on the way. He is AGL. I can't appreciate him being AGL. I love AGL, man, but I was expecting a baby, bro. But it is the Young King Hitman. I hope you guys are excited. Please let me know how you feel about this Carnival Omega being on the way. Consider liking, subscribing if you want more content. I will be showcasing these units upon data download. And Young Hitman is off this.